Well, good afternoon and welcome to our first virtual benefits connections. My name is Clayton Cobb. I am one of the 12 regional consultants who serve the Board of Pensions and serve the Presbyterian Church. And we are delighted that you could join us this day in this webcast. I am also joined this day by two other colleagues, Martha Reisner, who covers the needs in the Mid-Atlantic region of the country, and Keenan Rodgers, who serves the Southeast region along with Clark Simmons. You certainly have a regional consultant near you, but know that we are the three who have the privilege of serving you today. Next, in terms of a little housekeeping, I'm not advancing. Here we go. There we go. Know that we are interested in your questions. You can use the panel to your right. If it's a specific question, you may well get a specific answer. If it's more of a generalized question, we may hold it and address it, one of the three of us, throughout this webcast. And just really know that there'll be a follow-up opportunity where you can review this webcast and or share this with others as well. So as we go, the purpose of today is to look at the 2020 benefits. We begin, as always, with a question of values and theology. The Board of Pensions some 3 years ago finally came up with a theology of benefits, which seems a little late given our 300-year history, but it's been implied all along, but we want it to be clear and overt for you all. We cherish the whole idea of wholeness, shalom. Our benefits is around a sense of community, an abundance. We are led by compassion and care. In my region, I often sum it up and say, where there are no benefits, there is no shalom. Where there are benefits, there's lots of shalom. So we want lots of peace for you, and certainly you and yours. You'll see in terms of the Board of Pensions that we bring size and scale. Some 60,000 lives are included within our plan. We are more than 100% funded with our pension portfolio, almost some $9 billion. And then know as well, in the church, we bring the best of the church to bear. A sense of community nature, which will impact as we go along. There's a sense of wanting wholeness for people. It's not just a medical plan or not just a retirement benefit, it's you as a person. And then certainly we bring a sense of fairness and compassion and fair compensation to what we're about. And most of all, we really want to serve the church. We certainly hope that you all will join us in that same endeavor, that you not only seek to serve your congregation, but you might find your way to be the best employer that you can be. We are certainly not overly interested in profits or commissions, are certainly increasing any value for investors. We are here to really serve the church. So again, that's why we're here. We bring 300 years of history. Back to 1717, the Fund for Pious Purposes. Would that every purpose be pious? It evolved to a widow's fund, a disabled fund for disabled ministers. We see the first pension plan in the 20s as our country was moving to such, medical plans, and then our assistance program, which again, we'll talk more about as we go. We bring a strong balance sheet. We'll talk more about that. Balanced investing and solid returns, stability in terms of dues, and certainly lower administrative costs than any for-profit folks that are out there. So again, we hope you know that and can join us. I want to make sure that you understand the sense of increases that we have had to manage with the healthcare issues. Certainly in our pastor's participation program, where medical benefits are paid by percentage of salary, we're going now into our 5th year of no increase in that number of 25%. However, in our PPO medical program, as you see, going back to 2010 with what was our affiliated benefit program, and now in the menu options, you see the trend for cost increases. It averages 4.4% as a compounded rate. We feel that's certainly very strong compared to other markets, again, because we are self-insured, but lets you know, again, size and scale. Most of all today, we want to invite every employer to consider what is your vision and your mission And most of all, how does that connect to your staff and the benefits that you offer? Because your staff are the ones who live out that mission, and how benefits coordinate with that. Every environment has its own cultural issues, its cultural values. We want your benefits and your offerings to be a part of that. We want you to also know that we have a number of partners who join us. Different contracts here with the board. As you see, Optum, Call to Health. Highmark is the vehicle that processes claims, medical claims with our money. Again, Cigna, VSP, we'll unpack all of these as this benefits overview continues. But perhaps most important as you all are entering this employer agreement season is to make sure you clearly address all the eligibility issues and which employee classification should receive which benefit. You will see unpacked here in just a moment, we have a menu options, which is all a la carte, but there's also what we call pastor's participation, which is the medical plan and death and disability and pension that are paid by percentage of salary. Again, at this point, it's most important to know your employees and how you classify them and what benefits you wish to offer. And so for me, in this final section, for my first time with you, you'll see the overall snapshot of all the benefits that we're going to address. There's the whole retirement options, medical, death and disability, and our optional benefits. So again, in this webinar, we're going to unpack these one at a time. Again, please post your questions online, and let me now turn it over to my colleague Martha, who will begin as she addresses our medical benefits.
Thank you, Clayton. Good afternoon. I'm going to give you a fairly brief overview of a lot of the details that are included in our medical plan options. And there will be more information you can find in other places that we will refer you to as we go along. First of all, we are offering the same 3 options as we have for the last year. The Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield Preferred Provider Organization, PPO, the Exclusive Provider Organization, EPO, and the HDHP, High Deductible Health Plan, and accompanying health savings account. All 3 plans use the Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield network. They also provide all kinds of necessary services for covered plan members and eligible family members. And there are many pieces included in all 3 of these options. The prescription and preventive benefits, Teladoc, which is our telemedicine option, Livongo for diabetes, the Employee Assistance Program administered by Cigna, and Call to Health, which is the board's well-being initiative. And we'll talk a little bit more in detail about each of these. First, however, let's review some very basic terminology to make sure we're all on the same page. A copay is the flat dollar amount you pay when you go, for instance, to your primary care physician or to a specialist. It's a flat amount. The amount differs per plan, but generally, for example, in the PPO, it's $25 when you walk in the door to see your primary care physician or $45 to see a specialist. The deductible is the amount that you pay yourself out of pocket before, above the copays, before the benefits of the plan kick in. And again, the copays for your office visits are not included in that deductible amount. Co-payment is also sometimes referred to as co-insurance. That's a percentage after you've paid your deductible, but there are maximums. We don't want anybody going broke on their Medicare, on their medical care. And so we have maximums in place to ensure that there is a reasonable limit to the amount that comes out of your pocket. So moving on, the Blue Cross Blue Shield network is the largest one in the country. 97% of hospitals, 92% of doctors. It's pretty hard not to find a doctor in network. It also means you have full access to these providers regardless of where you are in the country. So if you're traveling or you have a child in college across the country, they can go to, or you can go to a Blue Cross Blue Shield provider anywhere in the United States. Anybody who is in network is available to you Also, there's no gatekeeper or referral required to see a specialist as long as the provider is in network. And if you're not sure whether or not the doctor you want to go to or one you may already be seeing is in network, or the hospitals, let's say, that are in your area, you can go to the Highmark website, highmarkbcbs.com, click on Find a Doctor, and then you can put in the name of the practice or the facility, the name of the doctor, the specialty, the condition, and you can limit your search by naming a particular location or range of distance from a given spot to see if the doctors that you want to see or the facilities you wish to use are in network. Moving on. One of the most important things for the board is the preventive care that is provided with all of our plans. This is something that is consistent with among all three of our plans. We have emphasized the importance of preventive care since well before it was mandated by the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. In the church, we see health as a gift from God and believe that we all have an obligation to be good stewards of our health and the blessings of our health. Our preventive care plan covers more services more frequently than required by law. For example, if you have ever had a suspicious mammogram, under most plans, all future mammograms would be considered diagnostic and therefore not covered under a preventive care benefit. But that's not true in our plan. In our case, mammograms, the first mammogram every year is considered preventive and is covered 100%, regardless of medical history. So all preventive care, immunizations, flu shots, colonoscopies, similar procedures are all covered 100% with no member cost sharing in any of these three plans. There is a good list on pensions.org of all the preventive care that is recommended by age, gender, and medical history. I encourage you to check that out. So let's compare the three plans. This is a very detailed looking chart. It is a short version of longer resources that are available to you, and I'd like to highlight a couple of things here. Again, you can see the differences between the PPO, the EPO, and the high deductible plan, the deductibles, the coverage after the deductibles have been met, and what happens with out-of-network providers and out-of-network care. Very importantly, I want you to notice that under the EPO and the high deductible plan, you may go to an out-of-network provider, but there will be no plan coverage. So when you are advising staff members, for instance, you may ask them to look at their use of healthcare in a given year to see if they primarily use in-network providers. If they do, perhaps they would benefit from using either the EPO or the high deductible plan, and we would encourage churches to make that available. Another option is for a church to provide the access to all three and allow the employees to buy up to a higher level of coverage if the church is providing, for instance, one of the less expensive plans as a baseline. Let's look a little bit more at direct comparison between a couple of these plan options. Let's look first at the PPO and the EPO. The preventive care and teledoc coverage is exactly the same. The differences start coming in with the co-pays for other levels of care. And again, out-of-network care is not covered in the EPO. Looking at a comparison between the PPO and the high deductible plan, again, the preventive care is the same, 100% covered. The teledoc, however, coverage, the telemedicine option is structured similarly to the other kinds of medical care provided. There is a charge, not shown on this sheet, of $45 until the deductible is met, and then the member pays, as in the other kinds of service, 20%, and the plan pays 80% of the remaining charges. Out-of-network coverage not provided or not covered by the plan. One of the things you can do, however, with a high deductible plan is use an HSA, a health savings account, to offset the deductibles and other out-of-pocket costs. Regardless of which plan your members choose or which you may make available as a church employer, there are a number of things that every plan, all the plans offer. One is the prescription drug benefit. Prescription drugs obviously treat illnesses, injuries. Some are maintenance drugs and can help in managing ongoing conditions. The costs for prescription drugs are based on the type of drugs used. Preventive, generic, formulary, the prescription list provided by our manager, Optum Rx, and non-formulary. One of the most important points to notice here is that non-formulary brand name drugs are not covered under the EPO or the high deductible plan. So the prescription drug plan offers reduced costs for drugs included on a preventive drug list, which is a fairly new piece of this plan. The preventive drugs obviously are very effective in managing ongoing chronic conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure. For those who are taking maintenance medications, it's a good idea to check also for something like a mail order option. Mail order or retail is the option, retail being going to your local CVS or other pharmacy. And some drugs also are available in 90-day supply, not just 30-day. And those are a couple of ways that members can save on their prescription drug costs. For specialty drugs, we use another provider called Briova RX as well. On this next slide, you can see the comparison between the three plans and what the costs are for the generic versus formulary brand drugs, and a distinction between preventive and non-preventive. There is a sliding scale, as you would imagine, but you can see the lower costs for the mail order and for the longer, the 90-day prescriptions versus 30-day in terms of cost per unit. So check out those options, and again, be aware in the EPO and the high deductible, the non-formulary brand medications are not covered. Another piece of helpful advice is for members themselves, or for you as an advisor to members, is to have people check their medications every year toward the end of the year to make sure that their medications will remain on the formulary for the following year. In November, the new formulary will be published. It will be available on pensions.org. It also will be on Optum's website, optumrx.com. And if there is a medication you've been taking, for example, that is no longer included on the formulary going forward, it gives you a little bit of time before the 1st of January to change medications, to consult with your doctor and see if there's something else that would be as effective for you, but that would be less costly. So that's a hint for you. Another thing to check out would be the Optum Rx online tools and the mobile app as a way of helping to manage your prescription use, prescription drug use. Moving along, the vision exam benefit is included in all three medical plans. Our provider is VSP. Again, all three medical plans, no additional charge for this particular vision exam benefit. This is a distinction from the vision hardware benefit, which my colleague Keenan will describe in a little while. The vision exam benefit is included, $25 copay at participating VSP providers, and discounts on some other services and procedures. Next, let's talk for a moment about telemedicine, the Teladoc, which is the provider that we use. This has been a very popular benefit in the last couple of years. We've had many, many stories of people who have called at 3 a.m., received a prescription for a necessary antibiotic, had the antibiotic called into their pharmacy, and they've been able to pick it up and be back in bed in an hour. It's a wonderful thing when you are not able to get to an urgent care facility or your own physician because of an odd hour or perhaps if you're traveling, or again, if you have a child in college across the country, this is another option for accessing through your phone, through the mobile app, through video on your computer, through the video connection, to have a consultation eye to eye with a doctor and get immediate assistance. It's available 24/7. These are board certified doctors. They can write prescriptions for you, and it's probably going to be less expensive and probably more convenient than urgent care in those kinds of situations. Another tip is to have the TeleDoc app set up on your phone before you need it. Much easier then than when you're feeling really lousy. Another aspect of our plan, of any three of the levels of the plan, is the Centers of Excellence. This is a Blue Cross Blue Shield service. They have put in place centers where surgical outcomes are very high based on the number of procedures, number of specialized procedures done at these particular centers. There is no cost after deductible for select surgeries. It's not every surgery, obviously, it's select ones, as you can see on your screen: bariatric, transplants, knee and hip replacements, spinal surgery. Also, there are many centers of excellence across the country, but if you live 100 miles or more from one of these centers, the board will provide funding for you to get there, plus a family member or other companion to go along with you, which would make sense if you're having a surgery, to assist you up to $10,000. So that's a really nice way to make sure that you are getting high quality surgical care and in a way that is affordable also for you. So check out if you're interested in or anticipating needing surgery in one of these areas. There's more information on the Blue Cross Blue Shield website, the Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield website. Livongo for diabetes is a service that was put in fairly recently. This is a series of free equipment, a blood glucose meter, and unlimited test strips and lancets for members or eligible covered family members, and access to a consult with a certified diabetes educator, also 24/7. With the blood glucose meter, when the reading is taken, it is uploaded to the Livongo app, and you're given suggestions to help you manage your own health situation. You also get call to health points, both for registering and signing up your blood glucose meter initially, and a point per day for every day that you take your blood glucose test. So lots of benefits to this. And again, there's been a great deal of appreciation expressed for the free materials and for the consultation. The Employee Assistance Program is offered through Cigna. This is a plan, unlike all of our other benefits, that is available not only to plan members and their covered family members, but to any member of a household of a member. So it's a helpful resource for you for things like counseling in emergency situations or just serious situations. It provides access to 6 free private counseling sessions per incident, per issue, not per year. So there may be more than 6 sessions that someone may be entitled to in the course of the year based on their experiences. It's immediate assistance for critical emotional needs, but the EAP also provides other information and other referral to child care, senior care, pet care, and other related services. And EAP also includes financial resources, which many people have been able to take advantage of. And this also is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, provided by Cigna. Finally, I'll give you a little bit more information about Call to Health. This is our well-being initiative, which is very consistent with many other things that the board does. in that the emphasis is on holistic health, not just physical, but also spiritual, financial, and vocational. Covered spouses of plan members can participate. And the whole idea here, of course, is the emphasis on good preventive care and developing good preventive care habits, preventive health habits. But in addition to the direct health benefit in all of these areas, spiritual, financial, etc., there's also a financial benefit because when you earn enough points, which is not difficult to do in a given year, you lower your deductible the following plan year by as much as a third of what it was previously. So we will refer back to some of the charts that will show you the difference between non-call to health deductibles and those that you can use if you've completed the call to health points up to certain levels. So thank you for your attention to these pieces, and I am going now to turn the mic over to my colleague Keenan.
Thank you, Martha. Before going forward, I want to just reiterate how remarkable that is, that all of those benefits that Martha has been discussing and explaining, whether it's call to health or Livongo, our outstanding prescription drug coverage, all of that is included in the medical plans of the Board of Pensions. Vision, eye exams, there's a lot that comes with receiving medical coverage from the Board of Pensions, and all of those benefits are a part of that. I'll say as well that if you have questions about any benefits that we are discussing, feel free to send those in the sidebar off to the right of the screen. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll save time at the end for questions and answers, but feel free to send those to us at any time. We'd be glad to see those come across. Next, we'd like to talk about some additional benefits that are available to offer your staffs for consideration, and this includes a few benefits that are wonderful as an employer to offer any employee that receives a W-2 from the church. And I'll share more about that in just a moment. But the most important thing to know is that some of these benefits, such as our dental coverage, can be offered to any employee regardless of the number of hours they work. They can work 1 hour a week, they can work 100 hours a week. If they are an employee and receive a W-2, they're eligible for benefits like our dental coverage. The other key aspect of benefits such as a dental coverage that is important for you as an employer to know is that that cost for the dental coverage can be shared with the employee 100%, which means that as an employer, you can make that benefit available to the employee, and you may contribute to that, but you're not obligated to. But you make that benefit available and empower them to make the decision whether they choose to participate in that benefit or not. In our dental coverage, if you choose to make that available to your employees, there are two different dental plan options. There is a PPO and also a DMO. And you may get questions like, how do I know which plan is right for me? What are the differences between these two plans? Two of the key differences, one is that the PPO provides for a wide network of dental care providers that could be chosen from, where the DMO requires that a primary dentist be named and that the services under that dental plan are received from that primary care dentist. Also, the DMO plan is wonderful coverage for basic preventive care services, such as your annual cleanings, if you have a checkup. There are coverages under the DMO plan for higher services, if you have an oral surgery perhaps or need orthodontia. But with the DMO plan, there is no maximum out-of-pocket amount, which means that if you need more advanced dental services, there may be more cost coming out of pocket. The PPO plan costs a little bit more than the DMO plan, but if you have those needs and can anticipate them, there may be more value in choosing a PPO over a DMO, in case you get questions like that from an employee considering dental coverage. Both plans offer preventive and diagnostic care services, including routine checkups and cleanings covered at 100%. And they also offer coverage for more major services, including orthodontia. It's important to note as well that if somebody is considering dental coverage and may have orthodontia needs, maybe they have a teenager coming up who may need braces or other orthodontic treatments, that they need to be covered under the dental plan for a year before being eligible for those orthodontia services to be covered under the plan. You see that listed at the bottom of the slide there. Another great benefit that can be offered to any employee is our vision eyewear coverage. Martha referenced this just a short bit ago in talking about the vision coverage under our medical plan. The vision eye coverage was the most popular new benefit the board offered in 2019. And this is a supplement to that vision coverage under the medical plan. What this coverage provides is richer benefits specifically for glasses frames, lenses, contact lenses at low cost. The cost for a single coverage individual is just under $4 per month. And there are rich allowances for both eyeglasses as well as contacts with a $25 copay. It's a fantastic benefit that many have enjoyed already this year, and we're offering that again in 2020. Again, something as an employer you might consider offering and making available to any employee of the church, regardless of the number of hours they work. And know that this too, like dental coverage, can be shared. The cost can be shared 100% with the individual, and you can make that benefit available to them. Do pay attention to the fact there's no eye exam included in this benefit by itself. That eye exam benefit is from the vision coverage in the medical plan that Martha discussed earlier. Next are flexible spending accounts. Flexible spending accounts, there were several of you who had questions about these when you registered and sent these to us. So let's take a look at flexible spending accounts. There are two different types of flexible spending accounts that the Board of Pensions offers. In both cases, what they allow you to do is set aside money before tax that you can use to pay for eligible expenses. Those two types of plans are either healthcare or dependent care coverage, and we'll talk a little bit about each of those. There are extensive lists of eligible expenses that you can use these accounts for on the IRS website on irs.gov. The IRS also sets contribution limits for each of these types of plans. You see those listed here. For 2019, $2,700 for healthcare flexible spending accounts and $5,000 for dependent care flexible spending accounts. Administration of these is made much more easy by working with our third-party administrator further. Some churches may have attempted to implement flexible spending accounts on their own in-house. This takes that administrative burden off and allows a third-party administrator to make that job easier for church staff. In some cases, debit cards are available in the case of our healthcare flexible spending account to make use of the plan easy for the individual as well. In most cases, there is a use it or lose it provision of flexible spending accounts that unused funds may be forfeited at the end of the year. And we'll talk about how that works with our plan. For those who are curious about how you might be able to get started with the flexible spending accounts offered by the Board of Pensions, included on your 2020 employer agreement, and further will contact you directly to work on setting up the account and creating those individual accounts for those who choose to participate in the flexible spending accounts. Let's take a quick look at each of these in turn. The healthcare flexible spending account, again administered by Further, is dedicated for those healthcare expenses. The limit, again, is $2,700 for 2019, and there's a debit card to help make this easier for the individual to keep track of. They don't have to submit claims after the fact for a reimbursement. They can take care of it in real time and keep those receipts that they can be justified with further to make sure that the plan is covering what it's supposed to cover. To be eligible for our healthcare flexible spending account, someone must be eligible to receive our medical coverage, which means that they have to work at least 20 hours a week. And this is a companion plan to our PPO and EPO medical plans. We also have a health savings account, which is separate from this. That's a companion for our high deductible health plan. We'll talk about that in a moment. Essentially, the expenses that are eligible for our flexible spending accounts are those that are not covered by the medical plan. This means copays and deductibles, prescription drug costs, certain expenses related to dental or vision care. It does not cover over-the-counter medicines unless they are prescribed by the doctor. Then they can be covered as well. Next, let's talk about dependent care flexible spending accounts. Again, the same principle applies. We're setting aside pre-tax dollars to be able to use them on these dedicated expenses. A unique aspect of our dependent care flexible spending account is that it's open to anyone regardless of the number of hours they work. So unlike the healthcare flexible spending account, you must work at least 20 hours. Here, you can work any number of hours and be eligible to participate in dependent care flexible spending accounts. The limit here, $5,000, unless someone is married and their spouse is also participating, in which case that limit is shared between the two individuals, and as a married couple, it is still $5,000 total. Here, unlike our healthcare flexible spending account, which allows you to roll over $500 at the end of the year, the unused funds are forfeited here. Let's talk about the HSA. Again, this is a companion account to our high deductible health plan. And for those who might be thinking about the high deductible health plan, it's important to pay key attention here to the health savings account. The reason is that that high deductible is a large out-of-pocket cost before the plan begins paying. And a health savings account allows you to save money tax-free to put towards paying that expense. There's a triple tax advantage that comes with health savings accounts. It allows you to set money aside tax-free. That money is not taxed when it is used for eligible expenses, and while it's in the account, it's allowed to grow tax-free as well. In this account, there is no use it or lose it provision, and those funds travel with you. So if somebody participates in a health savings account and then changes jobs and goes elsewhere, that account goes with them as well. You own that account and it follows you even into retirement. Again, this is the companion for the high deductible health plan. The same here about how you can use those health savings account funds. It's the same as our flexible spending account. It's for expenses not covered by the medical plan. So this means copays, deductibles, it means prescription drug costs, but it does not include over-the-counters, again, unless they are prescribed by the doctor. Next, we're going to shift gears. We're going to stop talking about medical benefits and our optional benefits, and we're going to start talking about what we call income security benefits. These include our pension plan, our retirement savings plan, death and disability coverages of different sorts. So we're going to talk about each of these in turn. We'll begin with our pension plan, and I'm going to turn this back over to Clayton Cobb to share that information with you.
Thank you, Keenan. Certainly in the realm of Maslow's hierarchy, healthcare is darn important. So that seems to be the most important basic benefit. But certainly right behind it is the assurance that we will have enough, that there's income security beyond our working years, that there might be some way that we can provide for ourselves and for those we love. So I can let you know that the beginnings of understanding this benefit centers around effective salary for our pension. That's really the basis for dues and for benefits. It is not an IRS or a Social Security term. It's one that we at the board have made. And specifically, the effective salary includes cash salary, housing or man's value, deferred compensation, or other cash payments. What I can remind you is that there is a very specific and very helpful resource on our website entitled Understanding Effective Salary. And we encourage all church treasurers and plan members to have that ready, particularly with the grid in the back of what's considered effective salary and what is not. I mentioned the value of community nature in my first part of the presentation, and this is one of those best examples. This is literally the median salary in the PCUSA, and you see every year we post this. Last year it was the $58,000. For this year at $59,100. The reason this is important is for plan members who are making below the median salary. We want to assure them, as the church pays the 11% pension dues, the pension credits accrue at either the median or the actual salary, whichever is higher. So for lower paid plan members, the assurance is every year the median salary goes up, the basis for their pension credits goes up as well. And you'll see there's also a median salary for lay employees as well. We call our pension plan a defined benefit plan. That is, we, the board, define the benefit, and it includes a pension that accrues at the rate of 1 1/4% of your effective salary, either the median or your actual, whichever is higher, over the entire length of service. And we can add to that experience apportionments, which will increase the value of that pension as well. What I encourage folks to consider, if you go to Benefits Connect and put in a pension estimate, you'll see a variety of pension payment options. We call the normal option, is normal in the sense of most selected. And what it means is if you are single, you get 100% of your credits. But if you also choose the normal pension option and have a spouse, that simply means we'll pay you 100% of all of your pension upon your retirement. And should you predecease your spouse will receive 50% of your pension. Now, there are other pension options that can choose to take less for the plan member and more for the surviving spouse, but those are all things that are worth more consideration, either in the Planning for Retirement booklet or one of our pre-retirement education opportunities, or with your own church consultant. But on top of that basic pension, we have to know that, again, the experience apportionments increase that value. Quick math, one way that my simple mind thinks is, if one, imagine, don't take this job, you have your first call and you only got $10,000 and you never got a raise and worked that job for 40 years. That sounds awful, but the math works. $10,000 times 40 years times 1 1/4% of pension credits would equate, after 40 years, a $5,000 pension, half of the 10. You can imagine if one only works 20 years, that would be $2,500. Now that sounds meager, except when you add the idea of an experience apportionment, shows that pension credits accrue with an additional bump each year with the experience apportionment. That's not the experience of your ministry, that is the experience of the plan portfolio. And you will see in this chart, ranging back to 2005, experience apportionment that year was 3%, up to 2008, 3.75, 2014, it was 4.7. You see all these figures. It's a way of saying it's how we increase the value of that pension as our portfolio increases itself. Another way, perhaps a better, is to look at this chart, where one sees the green line would be the inflation factor, the consumer price index. What you see in the blue line is roughly experience apportionments are just about twice inflation, which is a way of assuring that your credits will grow at twice the rate of inflation, and your actual pension checks upon your retirement will continue for certainly at least twice inflation. I can let you know that as of July 1 for 2019, that experience apportionment was 3.6%, and since 2013, as we've kind of rounded the corner from the financial crisis. Pension credits have gone up 23%. Again, these are just figures. What we encourage each member is to go to Benefits Connect and look at your own particular numbers. But again, if you have questions, we are here to serve. In terms of pension options, again, there's joint and survivor available. That's either the normal at 100% and 50% are spouse, or others as you decide. You can begin your pension as early as age 55. That means churches no longer pay the 11%, and we simply will pay you sooner for the rest of your life. You can certainly go beyond 65, and that pension benefit will increase. So this chart shows you that particular arrangement. At 55, you would get half of what you would have received at age 65. The reason it's the same pot of money, but you're going to live longer, and we're going to pay you, in essence, the same amount of money. It starts sooner. On the other hand, this chart shows you if you work beyond the age of 65 to 70, because we think you will have less years to cash that check. The checks are larger, and thus it increases at approximately 1/3 at age 70. Do note, for those plan members working beyond age 70, we do not continue this 6.5% bump every year. It reverts back to 1.25% at age 71. Think of it as we don't necessarily reward stubbornness. We want you to cash the check. It's your pension. Do know that in addition to our pension plan, we also have a retirement savings plan. We assume and we expect that our plan members and pastors' participation, certainly in the pension plan, will also participate in the retirement savings plan. This is also a very attractive option for employers who have employees not in the pension plan. Your lay employees, we encourage you to look very carefully at this opportunity. The reason that we offer this is we want, again, to have a culture of service and wholeness for every employee. And again, it's not just the close to $10 billion in our pension plan, but with Fidelity, we have a variety of options and ways to have each individual grow their own. One of the key differences, our pension plan is we call a defined benefit pension. You can't outlive your money. It is always there. However, in the retirement savings plan, the 403B, it is a finite amount. So it requires more careful decision-making and decisions around when and how you draw. What you can see is there are 12 funds that we offer. I find when organizations offer 50, it's paralyzing. 12 gives you plenty of the range from money markets to international stocks. And there are, in addition, 13 target date funds, which automatically rebalance the closer you come to your retirement and needing your money. Rebalance means more money is balanced out of stocks into bonds and securities that are less volatile should the market go down, which means your money will be there for you. I can remind you that in our retirement savings plan, that is our 403B, that administrative costs are very competitive. We ask $15 a year from each participant, $3.75 a quarter. That is simply deducted from your account. And the reason we do that is this program is offered to every employer at no cost. We, the Board of Pension, for that $15, take responsibility for all compliance, all the paperwork. And again, it's to lower the hassle factor for every employer and every employee to participate. There is also more details, certainly, that one can see on our website. This is a quick snapshot of the different funds that are available. You'll see on the left-hand side the money markets, very secure, but perhaps not the return that all people want. The middle, you'll see balanced growth funds, equity funds. The POX Global Environment Fund is our fossil fuel-free fund. I encourage people who share that value and commitment to put their money where their values are. Certainly international funds, real estate, and others to the right, which may have higher returns but higher risks. Do know that perhaps another way to say it is look at the number of folks who continue to increase. And a year ago, some over 12,000, so the number goes up, and the dollars invested, some over $763,000. I can say, as a participant myself, this is a tremendous program. The advantage is in the traditional 403B, all these monies can go in pre-tax. So if you're a lay employee, you can get an automatic 7.65% return on the FICA that you're not paying, plus any IRS taxes that you pay to the government. If one is clergy, you get an automatic 15.3% return in your money, and that you will not be paying SECA on dollars you invest. Of course, there's a Roth option, but again, it lets you know a little bit of the potential for return. More than what all of us as regional consultants can offer, I can assure you Fidelity offers very clear financial guidance. The 800 number is here, and it's important to mention plan number because there are specifics in our plan that alert that plan number, the Fidelity folks, how to best help. There's also their online portal called Net Benefits, where one can library and resources, you can do modeling and projections. There is a window through which you can buy particular stocks. It is a tremendous plan, and we encourage you to explore it freely. And as they say, there's an app for that, and certainly Benefits Connect is your other portal. 24/7, again, the application there and the planning tools, again, with the defined contribution, it always seeks to answer the question, how much money do I need to save in order to be secure in retirement? The Lord be with you. Perchance you run out of money or your appointment with Jesus comes sooner than expected, there is a death and disability benefit that is here for you. And I'm going to return this back to my colleague Keenan, who has that information.
Thank you, Clayton. We're going to spend time looking at different death and disability benefits that the Board of Pensions offers. And again, these are benefits that seek to respond to the question of what happens if the worst happens to an employee. How might their surviving family members be cared for in those really exceedingly difficult times of disability or in case of death? So let's begin by talking about the traditional death benefits that the Board of Pensions provides. The death benefits are coupled with our disability benefits, and they are paid for by the employer. The employee cannot contribute towards these benefits. They're paid for 100% by the employer. That contribution is either 1% of their effective salary if they participate in our pension plan. If they do not participate in our pension plan, they may still receive our death and disability benefits, but it is 2.5% of effective salary paid for those benefits. They're open to anyone who works at least 20 hours per week. And to receive our death and disability benefits, you may not be enrolled in our group term life coverage. And we'll share more about group term life coverage in just a moment. The death benefits are based off of the higher of either the effective salary or the median salary, depending on whether the individual is either a minister or a non-ordained staff member of a church. What benefits are actually included? Well, it begins with a salary continuation benefit. This is paid in monthly installments for the first 12 months after the covered member passes, that their family continues to receive a check similar to if they were still living and working, receiving that steady, regular benefit for the first year. In addition to that, they also receive a lump sum death benefit. That lump sum death benefit includes a multiplier depending on the age of the person covered under death benefits at the time that they die. If they are younger, often that has a much more significant financial impact on their surviving family. And so that benefit is richer in those instances. If somebody is age 31 or younger, that lump sum benefit can be as much as 400% of that either they're the higher of the effective salary or the median salary, 400%. As we age, that number comes down. By the time we get to age 50 and higher, it's at 100%. 100% of that benefit, that lump sum benefit that is in addition to the salary continuation, is provided to the surviving family members. One of the most unique aspects of our death benefits, and something that I am thrilled that the Board of Pensions includes in their death benefits, is a children's educational benefit. And so for any surviving children from somebody who's covered under death benefits, for any surviving children, they can receive up to $10,000 per child per year for up to 4 years of education after high school. It's a remarkable benefit that I personally have not seen included or offered in any other death benefits plan that I've encountered. I think it's a very unique benefit and significant to the lives of those who are affected in these instances. Our death benefits also includes what's called a living needs benefit. If somebody has a terminal diagnosis and is not likely to survive beyond 6 months, some of those death benefits may be received in advance of their passing. And it also allows the eligibility to participate in supplemental death benefits, and we'll talk more about those in a moment. Let's talk about our group term life coverage. Group term life was a new benefit offered in 2019, and this is an alternative to the traditional death benefits the Board of Pensions has offered historically. Again, this benefit is fully paid for by the employer, but it is a bit different. Again, it's eligible to employees who work at least 20 hours per week, and they cannot be covered either under pastor's participation or a non-ordained staff member covered under the death and disability plan. This is a separate benefit. They cannot be covered under both at the same time. This benefit offers 6 different coverage levels from $5,000 up to $50,000 of coverage. And the cost is very, very low, 20 cents for every $1,000 of coverage. So to use the example you see on your screen, to offer one employee $10,000 of a basic group term life benefit, the cost would be $2 per month or $24 per year. As an employer, to be able to offer that form of a basic benefit for such a low cost is powerful. It communicates the value that you have for the individual and the care that you demonstrate for them, while also being able to provide that very, very cost effectively. $10,000 of coverage for $2 per month or $24 per year, just to use the example on the screen. Group term life participation also allows someone to then participate in supplemental death benefits. Supplemental death benefits are similar to term life insurance that may be purchased on the open market and other places. The benefit of participating with the Board of Pensions is that we've negotiated for better rates, and there's a lower threshold for evidence of insurability to open up the accessibility of that benefit to more people. You can see there are 8 different coverage levels from $25,000 to $300,000. And unlike in the death and disability plan or the group term life coverage, supplemental death benefits may be purchased for covered spouses or for children as well. The cost for supplemental death benefits is based off of the age of the individual, the coverage level that is chosen, and whether or not they use tobacco. These policies are not portable. If somebody leaves their job, that coverage is then forfeited. And it actually may be continued into retirement up to the age of 70. At the age of 70, the benefit cuts off and is no longer there. But you may carry it up to that point. Let's talk about disability benefits. What happens if somebody is no longer able to work, what happens and how are they then able to continue living, continue providing for their needs via income and other benefits? This is where disability benefits comes in. It's a protection for the individual, but it's also a protection for the employer. We are the PCUSA, and we are gracious employers and communities of faith. And when something happens to someone that we care about who's serving a church or serving one of our affiliated employers, that community comes together and wants to demonstrate their care, wants to do something to help make that individual whole. Having disability benefits takes some of the effort and the strain off of the community and off of the employer, and being able to do that because it allows the Board of Pensions and the disability plan to provide that benefit and to care for them in their time of need. So it's a protection for the individual, but it's also a protection for you, the employer, by offering disability benefits. Again, disability is coupled with our traditional death benefits and is paid as a percent of the effective salary of the individual. 1% if they participate in the pension plan, 2.5% of the salary if they do not participate in the pension plan. And again, to be eligible for disability, you must work at least 20 hours per week or more. This benefit is based off of the higher of the effective or the median salaries, and the benefits it provides include 60% income replacement of their salary up to a maximum of a $110,000 salary as the basis of the benefit. That begins January of 2020. That has historically been $100,000. In January, it will go up to $110,000. In addition, if that individual is participating in the board's medical coverage, or if they are participating in the pension plan, those benefits continue. And so they continue to receive the medical coverage under the Board of Pensions. If they participate in the pension plan, they continue to accrue pension credits towards future retirement. And that cost, again, at the time they go on disability, is paid for by the disability plan, which means that they receive those benefits, but it's not costing the church to provide those benefits to them any longer because the disability plan pays for them. Supplemental disability benefits are also eligible in select cases. Those supplemental disability benefits are for those who are earning higher salaries. Again, our disability plan will cover salaries up to a maximum of $110,000 beginning January of 2020. The supplemental disability benefit covers in denominations of $10,000 beyond that, which means in this example, as you see on your screen, for somebody who earns a salary of $125,000, the first $110,000 would be covered by the disability plan. The next $10,000 would be covered by the supplemental disability benefit. And then that remaining $5,000 would not be covered because the effective salary is rounded down to the nearest $10,000 for that coverage. This may be paid for by the employer if they choose, may be paid for by the individual as well. And again, this is a valuable benefit, especially in churches where someone may be earning these higher salaries, that as a community of faith, it's a protection for the individual, but it's also a protection for the employer, for the church. These supplemental disability benefits, it's important for those who are eligible for them to make that consideration about whether to take that coverage when it's first open to them. Because if they do not take it initially and then choose to take it later on, they have to pass some evidence of insurability to get that benefit. They can still get it, but it takes a little bit more effort to get there. So it's important to make that consideration ahead of time and choose to take that or not take that, when it's first eligible to those who this applies to. Again, if you have any questions about any of these benefits, send them to us on the sidebar in the question space that's provided. We've received a number of questions so far. Look forward to addressing as many of those as we have time for during our Q&A at the end of our presentation. Now we're going to change and start talking about considerations and implications for this employer agreement season we find ourselves just beginning right now. And so Martha Reisner is going to come back and share with you information relevant to completing your 2020 employer agreement.
Thank you, Keenan. Yes, as we have mentioned, this is now employer agreement season. It began July 15th and runs through October 11th. So this is a timely period in which to have these conversations with us and with those in your church. One of the questions that we receive frequently is whether you need to complete your employer agreement if you don't anticipate any changes to be made in your plan. We encourage all churches as employers to go through the submission of an updated employer agreement every year for a couple of reasons. First of all, we do have changes very frequently from year to year. Some are major, some are minor. For next year, they're primarily minor, but there's also perhaps information that you've learned that means there are some things you could offer or would like to offer to your staff that you maybe weren't paying attention to last year, or your employees weren't aware might be really beneficial for them. So we encourage you to take a look at some of these new things, which I presume is why you're one of the reasons that some of you are with us today. Secondly, it's a good employment practice to review every year with your staff obviously their salary, but also their benefits. So it's a good employment practice, even if you don't anticipate making any changes in what you're offering or what they may be taking advantage of. So please do complete your employer agreement, and we're here to help you with that if you have any questions. One of the things that one of the ways that we can communicate with you is through your Benefits Connect account. Every church has one. Every member, every active member has a Benefits Connect account. It is our benefits portal. And 85 to 90% of what particularly an employer needs to do can be done through that portal. You can notify us of terminations of service, new employees, very importantly, salary changes, or other kinds of changes in the service of any of your staff members. Again, new employees, et cetera. Those are really important updates that need to be done in a timely manner for everyone's benefit, the church, but also the employees. Also, individuals can do a number of things through their individual Benefits Connect account. They can check on their pension estimates, for example. They also can submit specific questions right through the Benefits Connect site, particular to their specific situation. So it's a really good means of accessing us, in addition to a number of other ways that I'll mention in a minute. If you need assistance in accessing your account, you've forgotten the password, or perhaps, as often happens, a church will change who their designated employer representative is. It may be a new treasurer or a new church administrator or a new personnel chair, for example. We can assist you with that if you will call the help desk in Philadelphia, and I will give you that number in just a minute. So looking specifically at the employer agreement, this is where each church or other Presbyterian employer defines what each group looks like, each group of employees, pastors, lay employees, full-time versus part-time, for example, or perhaps the folks who have worked on your church staff for 20 years and you really don't want to make any changes to their benefits, but you may want to offer something different to more recently hired employees or new employees hired in the future. In your employer agreement is where you define those categories. What benefits will be offered, who's eligible for them. You may have hourly requirements that are different from the board's, which is fine. We have minimums. You can use ours, but many churches have additional guidelines above and beyond that. And how much you may want your employees to share in the cost of their benefits. Again, here we're talking primarily about lay employees. Again, July 15th to October 11th is employer agreement season. Another piece that we have put in place to further serve you was something we tried last year, which was extending the hours that the help desk in Philadelphia is available during this employer agreement season, and that will be happening again. As of August 1st, instead of 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the member services and employer services help desk will be open from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. We anticipate, particularly as we progress through the employer agreement season, more emphasis, more questions that will come up around the decisions that churches are facing as you go through your budget process and your benefits selection process for the following year. What else do I need to tell you about that? The employer decision support tool. If you have done this process with us before, you will recognize the tool. This is something that you access through Benefits Connect, your Benefits Connect account, and it is a means for you to model different configurations of benefits for the different employees that you may have. So you can see about different plan options, some of the optional coverages that Keenan talked about, different levels of cost sharing on a variety of the benefits, and see what that looks like for your church. You can create many different models if you wish, print those out, consider them in the conversations with your budget and your personnel committees. The final agreement does not need to be submitted until October 11th. So you have the opportunity to play with some different ideas and see what looks like the best way for you to put in place the pieces that will support your ministry and the well-being of your employees. So we strongly encourage you to do some work in the employer decision support tool. Finally, how to reach us. I mentioned that I'd give you the 800 number for reaching member services and employer services in Philadelphia. So it's an easy thing to remember, 800 press plan. That number, if you want to write out the numbers, is 800-773-7752. The hours listed there are the standard hours throughout the year, 8:30 to 5, extended to 7 p.m. for August 1st through October 11th. Benefits Connect is available to employers and employees. Our website is obviously available 24/7. It was redesigned a few months ago. And you can email us through a couple of different options that you see on your screen. And the last piece, not represented on the slide, but that we've referred to a number of times, is that we have a team of 12 church consultants, I and Clayton and Keenan and 9 of our colleagues who are here to serve you. This is what we are here for, to meet with you in person, to answer your particular questions, to help you strategize how to use benefits to best support, again, your ministry and the well-being of your employees. So please don't hesitate to contact us. Finally, also, we have some additional time here to take your questions. So I'm going to turn over the mic to my colleague, Clayton, to talk about a couple of the questions that have come in, and then we'll come back for a final word in a moment.
Thank you, Martha. A couple of quick questions in terms of the income security section that I led. One is, the question is, who is eligible for the retirement savings plan? Any W-2 employee is eligible. Everything from a nursery caregiver to a part-time bell choir director to custodians to anyone who gets a W-2, not 1099. The 403B retirement savings plan is set up as a paycheck deduction. However, you can certainly do matches as well, and our combination employer-employee, our employer contributions. There are a variety of strategies that make sense per your particular situation. I would encourage you to think about extended conversation with your regional consultant as to what's best for your situation. Similarly, I have a question here that says, can a pastor participate in both the retirement savings plan and the pension plan? The answer is yes. In fact, we we encourage and almost expect every plan member to be involved in both. A rule of thumb is perhaps for someone with 35 years in the pension plan with Social Security, still those two will not likely match the last income that person had. Maybe close, 80, 85%. If you're below the median, actually maybe more. But for so many plan members, it's that extra savings with the retirement savings plan that makes the difference. So we encourage, yes. And remember, any clergy person participating in our retirement savings plan, again, saves 15.3% SICA in that as well. A question was asked about the limits. If you are under age 50, the annual limit that an employee can participate in the retirement savings plan is $19,000 a year. Lord be with you if you can do that. If you are over 50, you can add an additional $6,000 to make it $25,000 of individual paycheck deduction. I had one plan member who's at age 60 made his last mortgage payment of $2,000 a month and suddenly realized he could put that in his retirement savings plan and worked another 6 years and retired a happy man. May that be you. One more question in terms of retirement is about, does the spouse have to agree to the spousal benefit for pension? We asked the plan member to sign that application and the spouse as well. Perhaps the employee assistance program and some counseling might be a response as well, but the answer is yes. It needs to be a both decision. Yes, spouse and plan member as to which survivor option. One other note, although I jest, that decision is a permanent one and needs to be made thoughtfully and carefully, and make sure that your retirement packet, when that decision is made, that the plan member keeps a copy. There are many retirees in their 70s and 80s who do not remember. Certainly a call to member services can be helpful, but I find in terms of estate planning, a copy of that decision is always helpful, and certainly Benefits Connect can remind you. There's some other questions here. I'm going to ask my colleague to answer. Martha, do you want to answer about the flexible spending account administrative costs? Did you do that?
I did not.
It's on the page.
Just what the number, just the amount?
Yes,
Yep.
you would.
Thank you, Clayton. Yes, the question is about the administrative costs for the FSA. It is $3.90 per member per month. And that is handled as that's a church cost. That's the employer that pays that cost. And there is no setup fee, which I know is true of some other FSA administrators. So that's a good question. We also had a question about whether HSA and FSA funds could be used for dependents care. And yes, that is absolutely possible. And by the way, if we do not get to all of the questions that are being submitted in the time that we have allotted today, we have about 10 minutes left, we will make sure to follow up with you offline. So please continue to send in your questions. We don't want to leave anybody hanging, so we'll make sure we take care of that. And how do I find out who my church consultant is another good question. Pensions.org is a wonderful source of information. You can check by region. Our lines no longer are neatly along synod lines, for example, although pretty much they are by presbytery. But we have tried to assign our territories in such a way that we have a similar number of members and similar number of churches in each of our regions. Some of these are very geographically spread out and others are much more compact. But we've tried to even out the workload so that we have the time and energy available to answer all of the needs of the churches and members in our regions. So you can also call into the Philadelphia office to the 800 number and ask. Based on which presbytery you're in, they can tell you which of us is your particular church consultant. Other questions? Clayton? Ian?
Yes, I got one.
Okay.
One came to me about question about what about the 403B matching? This is a tremendous program, and an outstanding opportunity. I find when I talk with church personnel, elders, and those steely-eyed church finance leaders, that often the question is posed, why should we offer this program? And my quick question is, do you think it's important to teach your church employees how to save? The unanimous answer is, of course, we need to teach them. Then my next follow-up question, so what are you doing to teach them? And the answer is, most often we're not. And my response is, it's through the employer match that you teach your employees how to save for their retirement. So, for example, if you offer a 3% match and an employee says yes, you will teach them how to live on 3% less of their money and their normal expenditures, save 3, you'll give 3, they'll save 6, and they will be a happy, productive employee. That match can certainly be negotiated and redecided every year depending on your budget and your financial constraints, but matching is the easiest way to teach your employees how to participate. The other quick way to respond is with every new employee, you can have an automatic enrollment. For example, you're hiring a new musician in your church, and it's a 20-hour-a-week position and it pays $20,000. You could say, we have an automatic 3% enrollment retirement savings plan. The employee can always opt out and say, no, I need every nickel that you're paying me to live on. But with automatic enrollment, you just automatically enroll them. They automatically start saving 3%, and down the line, they thank you for your conscientiousness. Another question was posed, do churches have to give benefits for employees 20 hours or more? The answer is no. We call that, again, the menu option, because you decide what benefits you wish to offer. It is in the employer agreement through the employee classifications that you primarily decide by which employee classification to which benefits you offer. Again, let me jump into this. So in the good old days, the answers were quickly, you're either full-time or part-time, exempt or non-exempt. And those are easy categories for employee classifications. We have found some employers have been able to even subdivide that by different levels of hours. Other employers have found the joy of putting employee classifications by date of hire. Everybody hired before January 1st was one classification. Everybody hired from January 1 going forward is now a different one. The challenge is to make sure you're not prejudicial, but it's by the design of employee classifications you can then respond with which benefit makes the most sense. So there, as you will see, and when you get your chance to look at the slides for this presentation, as well as perhaps with your consultant, there are some benefits that have no hourly requirement, like the dental. The pension plan, for example, is 20 hours a week or more. So it depends on which one. I'm gonna, any last comment from you, Martha?
I do.
Okay, then I'll let her take over.
Thank you, Clayton. Okay, one more piece of information and then we will wrap up. We have talked quite a bit about the employer agreement season that ends October 11th, but one question that comes up frequently we have not addressed, which is, when can your employees choose the wonderful benefits that you have been made available to them for 2020? And the open enrollment season for them is October 27th to November 15th. November 15th, coincidentally, is exactly the same as the end of the call to health season for this year. We do plan that intentionally, so we have one date to remember and everyone else has one date to remember instead of 2. So again, your employees will get a notification to go in and elect their benefits between the October 27th and November 15th. So as we wrap up, I want to thank you all again for your time and your attention and your consideration. We hope this has been helpful for you as an individual, perhaps member yourself, as a representative of your church in one role or another. We hope that this has provided some information that will help you make decisions to benefit your ministry and the well-being of your staff members. This webinar has been recorded and will be available to you and others later. We will let you know how to access that recording. We will make that information available. Also, we will be sending a survey, and we greatly appreciate your response to that, your feedback. This is the first time we've provided this information in this format, and it will be very helpful to us if you let us know your ideas and your feedback about this experience. We will send additional information, as I said, about the recording. We will also be sending copies of the slides that we have looked at today. We'll also send pointers to reference material that we discussed today, more details, more comparative information, and plenty of other information for you to use and to share with your staff, with your committees, and all with whom you work in your ministry. Thank you once again for your time, and God bless.